All right. So this is my latest little video that I'm making. This one is my guide to elevator pitches. Um, yeah, that kind of sums it up. I get asked about this a pretty good amount, more than I get asked about a lot of things, because I have a pretty good elevator pitch. And so people are like, oh, you have a good pitch. How do I get a pitch that's good like yours? So I had yet another person ask me, and I was like, I started to write it out for them, and then I was like, man, I should make this into a guide, so then in the future I don't have to type all this up. I can just be like, hey, you're asking me about elevator pitches. Check out this guide and or video. So here we are. So who am I? Why should you listen to me? I'm Bob. Okay, Noodle, calm down. I started out traditionally published. And then I shifted to self-publishing. I've put out 7 books now. I'm best known for writing the Jubal County Saga, which is about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction, and I have a book coming out in 2025 from Falstaff Books. It's going to be a horror novel. Uh, I sell a lot of books in person using elevator pitches, essentially. So I can attest that this works. um, do what I do, and along with a million other little things. And you too can probably sell some books. Resounding endorsement there. Um, okay, I read a series about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction. That's my pitch. If you have ever been at an event selling books, you probably have it memorized too because you've heard me say it a few hundred times a day. Uh, People like Ben Meeks, who I've done a ton of events with, they probably say it in their sleep because they've heard it literally thousands of times at this point. Um, yeah, that's my pitch. Uh, so a lot of people use elevator pitches in the context of trying to get an agent. You know, the idea is you're stuck on an elevator with somebody, and you only have one floor riding the elevator to make your pitch. So you're trying to get that agent, film agent, book agent, whatever. Um, and this will work for that. Just keep in mind that I've primarily geared this towards in person sales because I do a lot more in person selling than pitching my book to agents. Step one, keep it under 2 sentences. If you can do one sentence, that is better. Short, short. I cannot count the number of times people are like, hey, can I run you my pitch by you? And they send me a paragraph. That is not an elevator pitch. Um, the person who prompted this, they sent me what was a fantastic summary. Like I thought it was a really, really well done summary. It was not an elevator pitch. Elevator pitch. Again, you've got one floor of writing. You know, you're going from the 14th floor to the 15th floor, or the ground floor to the second floor. You don't have long. You've got to catch them. 2 sentences, people, at most. That's an elevator pitch. Anything longer than that, it's not an elevator pitch anymore. Okay? That makes sense? Um, in the context of selling in person, you may think, oh, well, you know, I've got longer than an elevator ride. Why does it need to be short and quick? Um, because if you're smart, especially when you're starting out, you will share booths with people. It brings your cost down. It's hard to make your money back on a booth if you only have one book. So you've got your first book out. You don't need to be doing events solo uh, unless the table cost is very low. Like maybe it's like a farmer's market or something like that, where you're only paying like 25 bucks. Sure. But if you're at a convention where tables can cost 250 bucks, 450 bucks, I believe our booth at Dragon Con is 3,200 bucks. It is very hard to make your money back that way. So until you have multiple books, so you need to be sharing. And if someone walks up and you spend 5 minutes talking to them just to pitch your book, there's someone else there that's also trying to sell their books. And you may have used up this person's attention span. Okay. So, quick, hit them with a quick line and then either pass them off to your table mate Or hopefully they have a quick line that you've also learned, uh, that you can be like, oh, hey, da 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 da. For example, let's say me, Ben Meeks, Richard Fierce sharing a table, as we frequently do. Someone walks up and I'm on the end. I'll say, hey, um, we're a collective of authors. We're all here selling our books. We're all the author. We all write something a little different. I write a series about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction. Ben writes a series about a were otter hunting demons in the North Georgia mountains. Richard writes YA fantasy all about dragon riders. Anything dragon riders, he's got it. So boom, I have quickly summarized everyone at the booth in one quick go, and then they can kind of narrow their focus on what interests them. But this is not a how to sell at a booth. This is a elevator pitch talk. So 2 sentences at most. One is better. Step 1. Tell them the core thing your book is about. I write a series about a redneck wizard. It's the first half of my pitch. It tells if you strip everything about my books away, it's about one thing. It is about Howard Marsh, the redneck wizard. Boom. That's what it's about. Um, I don't say I write a series about a wizard because there's lots of books about a wizard. I say redneck wizard because that clues people in that, oh, hey, this is probably some sort of urban fantasy. It's probably set in the modern era, something like that. So it does not have to be your character. If you're writing, um, a book with multiple viewpoint characters that are all centered around the Civil War, you could say, I write a fantasy series about a holy war occurring. I don't know. I don't know what your book is about. So anyway, core thing of what your book is about. Strip it down to the core thing. What is the central thrust of your book? 2, well, step 3, but tell them what makes your book stand out. Mine is with a crippling meth addiction. There are other Southern fantasy books out there. See Ben Meeks. See Alexander Dater. See John Hartness. Um, he's more horror, but you get what I'm saying. There are lots of books, urban fantasy books about wizards. There may even be urban fantasy books about redneck wizards. I don't know. I haven't stumbled on one, but I'm sure that someone out there has written about a redneck wizard. I do know that there's White Trash Warlock, which is about a magical dude, but he's not a redneck really. He's more just simple white trash, which preach. Um, but what makes mine stand out? Meth addiction. He has a crippling meth addiction. In that, I show that drugs are at play, and it kind of hints at my series is a little edgy, shall we say? So, boom. Okay, I've told them what the book is about. It's about a redneck wizard, and what makes it stand out with a crippling meth addiction. Boom. I have summarized everything in one sentence. Um, I'll say this. Don't worry about this if you're just getting started. But I will say the best pitches can also drive folks away that are not your market. For every person that when I say that, they're like, oh my God, tell me more. Or, oh my God, where's book 1? I have people who like walk away, like slowly back away, don't make eye contact, and they just fuck off. And that's good. That's a good thing because if my pitch causes them to back off and they're, oh my God, we're saving us both time. I'm not wasting time by continuing to pitch to them. And saving us both times. Save my energy, save their time. It's perfect. Because guess what? If they don't like my pitch, if something about my pitch turned them off, I promise you, hundreds of pages of content that is essentially my pitch isn't going to win them over. If they're so like, oh God, oh rednecks, oh meth, the pearl clutching. If you're clutching pearls, I ain't the book series for you. So that's good, but don't worry about that. If your pitch doesn't do that, that's fine. I'm just saying something to think about. Just think about it. Have variations in mind. I'm going to give you 2 examples. So here's one. I read a series about a redneck wizard with a possum familiar. It's basically the same thing, is what I say. But where do I use that? If someone, I have a lot of possum memorabilia at my booths. I have a stuffed Horace the possum. I'm usually wearing a Hawaiian shirt with possums on it. Um, Possums, they're awesome. They're a little more marketable than meth addicts, shockingly. Um, if someone kind of gloms onto, oh my god, possums, I love possums, then instead of hitting them with my regular pitch, I want to highlight possums. So I'll hit them that way, like boom, hey, this is a book series with a possum familiar. Stands a slightly better chance of hooking them, and then if they're interested, I can tell them more. Um, Another is I primarily sell books in the southeast of the United States, which is a very religious area. Um, and so older people tend to be more religious. If an older person is walking up, I may not hit them all the way with meth right off the bat. I may want to dip my toes in that water a little bit first, especially if they are a older woman. Um, it's weird. When I'm selling in person, older women less likely to put up with my bullshit. Older men more likely to put up with my bullshit. The inverse is true for younger people. Younger women are much more receptive to my book series than younger men. I don't know. There are certain people of all genders that are like, "Fuck yeah, this is amazing." Just generally speaking, that's how it plays out. So if a older woman is approaching me, I might not just say I write a series about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction. I might say I write a series about a redneck wizard solving backwoods occult mysteries. Um, and then I gauge. I've done this enough. I can kind of gauge their reaction to see, do I need to mention the meth? Am I, or just let's just save everybody some time. I don't know. So have variations in mind that you can pull out as needed. Have a slightly longer pitch ready to go. Again, this is a pitch. We're keeping it under 2 sentences or under. But maybe you're just at the booth by yourself, you're not sharing. You may want a slightly longer pitch to kind of help sell just in your quick pitch. So mine is, excuse me, I just ate a spam sandwich, which was amazing. And, but now I'm burping. So this is what you get with me. Whatever. Um, I wrote a series about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction solving backwoods Alabama occult mysteries. Adds a little more detail, tells them a little bit, oh, there's going to be some mysteries here. There's going to be the occult, Alabama, um, especially selling in the Southeast. People always say, oh, I'm from Alabama, or oh, I have an uncle that lives in Alabama. And that's something that can kind of catch people. Um, so again, this is just something to keep in your back pocket. You do this enough times, you basically have it memorized. You whip out what is best in a given circumstance. Experiment. I did not come up with my pitch on the first try. I workshopped this over months of doing events and doing it online. Actually, a lot of this honing was in the online space, like being in Facebook groups. People would be like, "Hey, indie authors, share what your book's about. I've got money. I want to buy some indie books." I used to comment on a lot of those, and I'd be like, "Hey, boom, I write a series about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction with a link," because you gotta hook them quick. If you can't hook them quick, people's online attention spans are fuck all. Hook them quick. Move on with your day. So I tuned it there, and I saw what and in person, I saw what got reactions, what flowed, what sounded natural, and workshopped it till whipping up what I have today. An ad online. Okay, so you've hit them with a pitch. They've stopped. They're looking. But you can tell maybe they're not totally hooked. You may want to have an ad online to help kind of further sink the hook. We're using fishing analogies here, so you gotta jerk the line or something. I don't know. It's been a long time since I fished. And make it memorable, make it funny if you can. Mine is so let's say they've walked up and said, "I'll write a series about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction," and they say something like, "Oh my god, what?" And so, which is a pretty common reaction. So I say, "Well, yeah, I'm from Alabama." They say, "Write what you know. We got dirt roads and meth. I figured if you throw a wizard in the mix, there's a book series there." So, or I'll say, "And there's a book. I figured there's a book there, and I wrote 6." It just depends on what I have on the table, how much space I have. Again, I have some variations that I can whip out to fit who I'm talking to. But it gets a chuckle usually. And folks, it helps kind of help sink the hook. So maybe have a follow up line that you can whip out. Hook them, then expand. Okay. So if your pitch is right, hopefully you say, okay, what's the first book? And you point, you say, this is book one, and this is the omnibus. It's books 1, 2, and 3 with a bonus short story. So that's what I recommend you do. Um, and so they pick up book one, and they're reading the back, and you're good at that point. Um, you've probably got the sale. Uh, but let's say that they want a little more. They're like, okay, tell me more. Um, Again, this is don't drone on for 5 minutes, especially if there are other people on the table with you. Like I run into this all the time. I was sharing at an event, and the person I was sharing with, it was not someone I normally share with, and they could not concisely talk about their books. And every time they talked about it, I heard them talk to a bunch of different people. Every time it was wildly different, and every time it took way too fucking long. It drove me up the wall. Um, and those people typically they got bored with the pitch, uh, and they wandered off. Some of them did buy, but they were already going to buy at that. You had them hooked in the first minute. Every minute beyond that, you're just wasting everybody's time. So kind of keep it short. Keep it something that you have memorized. It kind of hits the high points for you. Um, and then, for mine, it's like, where the series starts, he's homeless, he's living in a shed behind the Dairy Queen. He makes his living stealing copper out of air conditioning units, really just wants to be left alone to get high, but he keeps, getting drugged into these backwoods occult mysteries. Um, and then it's something that, again, I have variations, so I can kind of play up or play down different elements of it. If I see that like meth is a concern, to be very clear, I do not glorify meth use in this. I show that it's very bad. It's had terrible effect on his life. Um, so in cases like that, I'll say, hey, where the series starts, he's homeless. He's really at rock bottom. But the reason I wrote this series is because I know a lot of people in my life that are not going to have a happy ending due to drugs. And so I wanted to write a book series that did have a happy ending because by the end of it, he'll have kicked drugs. But while you can kick drugs, you can't kick redneck. That's to the bone. And so then they laugh, ha ha ha, and then hopefully they buy the book. So yeah, again, like guys, if you haven't hooked them by this point, at a certain point, you're just vomiting words at them, and they're you're just wasting everybody's time. Um, so try and keep it a paragraph or two. Um, Now, if you've got multiple series, I would rather than pitch everything to them, find out what they like. Like if you have a horror series and a fantasy series, as I will have soon. Be like, hey, do you like fantasy? Do you like urban fantasy or horror more your speed? Find out what they're most interested in, and then emphasize that. Uh, when I have my horror trilogy out next year, I'll be like, hey, I write a series about a redneck wizard with a crippling meth addiction, and I have a horror series about a game warden druid that's Alabama football meets H.P. Lovecraft with cryptids. Boom. Uh, Hopefully one of those two things hooks them. Otherwise, they may be like, oh, what the fuck? But anyway, so then if they're like, oh my God, Alabama football meets cryptids, tell me more. I tell them that. I don't then proceed to, well, okay, you're interested in this, but while I'm here, let me also talk on at length about this. I don't know, guys. Just I'm a big fan of let's save everybody time, and I think people appreciate that. Um, I know me. I have walked up and talked to authors before, and they have spent 5 minutes to tell me about their book, and it's like, sweet gentle baby Jesus, can we move on? All right, I'm going to give you some examples here, and then we're gonna end this puppy. So here are some famous books that if I wrote them, here's how I would pitch them. I put zero thought into these pitches. Okay, I literally it's like I just picked like three of my favorite things. Like, okay, if you had to do a pitch, this is it. And then also pitching it to kind of fit my brand. I'm not saying that everyone should. This is exactly how you would pitch the Black Company, And again, they're not workshopped. I this was a blog post originally. I literally just threw these in last second in the blog post. So they may be shit. I don't care. The Black Company by Glenn Cook, which is my all-time favorite fantasy series. Um, my book is about a mercenary company that doesn't realize it just got hired by the Dark Lord. Shenanigans ensue. Um, to me, what's it about? It's about a mercenary company. Uh, what's the what makes it stand out? They just got hired by the Dark Lord. You don't typically read books from the bad guy's perspective, you know? Dune by Frank Herbert. I write a politics heavy sci fi series that mixes religion, drugs, and holy war together, also worms. Um, what's it about? It's a politics heavy sci fi series. What makes it unique? It mixes religion, drugs, and holy war together into a stew, and there are sandworms. Um, cool. It by Stephen King. Maybe my favorite Stephen King book. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. His short stories are his best stuff, just to be clear. But hey, I tell him, hey, do clowns freak you out? Well, I have a book about a supernatural being that takes on the form of people's worst fears to prey on kids, and the kids start to fight back. Spooky shit abounds. So what's it about? It's about a supernatural being that takes on the form of people's worst fears to prey on kids. What makes it unique? Instead of, you know, the adults trying to stop this thing, it's the kids. The kids trying to stop this thing. And yes, I know in it's the kids at first, and then they grow up and they try and stop it. Hush. Shh. Um, but yeah. So there we go. If you have any questions, you have any hate mail, TalesbyBob.com is my is where I'm at. You can find me TalesbyBob anywhere. This is my cat looking very confused. This is Office Cat Olive. I have a ton of educational resources on my website, talesbybob.com/education. It's where these videos live. But you can comment on YouTube. You can reach out to my contact form, and I'll answer any questions. If you think, oh my God, Bob, you're so fucking dumb. This was terrible. Please let me know. I'm definitely open to learning a better way. This is just what works for me. This works for me. A lot of people comment on my elevator pitch, so I feel confident in saying at least mine is good. And here is how I structured mine and my thoughts about them. So, yeah, enjoy. And ooh, hit me with your elevator. Leave your elevator pitch in the comments. I would love that. Anywhere you go, leave your elevator pitch in the comments. If you see this anywhere, leave your elevator pitch in the comments. I would absolutely love to read them. And I hope people go through here and read these elevator pitches and go buy some books. If you want to leave a link to your books with your elevator pitch, please do. I respect the hustle. So, all right. Till next time, y'all. Be good.